Good evening and welcome to the Amateur TV Net, which is held every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. I'm Neil, VK3BCU. A few stations have checked in for just watching this evening, Bob 3BVR, Mark VK3PI and Stephen VK3TTF, and I'm sure there's others. I see so far we've got about 15 on Ian's YouTube feed. So you can watch the net through this medium, the repeater, VK3RTV 1 and 2, which is the way we like it to be watched if possible. But if you can't do that, you can watch it on Ian VK3QL's YouTube feed, Rob VK3IE's BATC feed, and Richard VK3VRS's Discord feed. I've got three little items today that I'm going to show you later on, just very, very brief little items, things that I've done here and things that I've noticed. There's been a lot of talk about, in fact I might do the first one now, just a drink of water. There's been a lot of talk about mixers, splitters, and some of you may be unfortunate enough to already own some of these splitters, which are just pretty much not good. They're unreliable and they break. And where they do break is, I've found, with the little power connector, which is there. It's not anchored very well, and it breaks off. So I found the little anchoring points here. If you're unlucky enough to have these splitters, you resolder the little mounting points here because they do break off very, very easily. Don't buy these, whatever you do. I've got a lot of them that are very unreliable. Now, what I did find on AliExpress, I'm not necessarily recommending these, but I found these to be okay. They seem to work fine. And AliExpress, I got three of these for $20, and they work. And they've got a nice little 6.5mm 5-volt connector there, and it comes with a lead as well. So I'm not necessarily recommending these, but three for $20 delivered, you pretty can't go wrong, and so far they haven't failed. So that's just not a recommendation, but it's what I'm currently using and they seem to work. Okay, back to me, I think. Okay, we've got Peter Cousins, VK3BFG up first. Peter will be putting it across to Richard, and then Richard across to Clint, VK3CSJ, and then Clint, if you could put it back to me, please. So, Peter, I see your call sign up there, so please get ready, everyone, to switch across to RTV1, and Peter Cousins will be coming up very, very shortly. Take it away, Peter.
Okay, looks as though we're on and audio's running. Yes, good evening everyone, I'm Peter, VK3BFG, over in the east, one turner south. Interesting that Neil is talking about splitters, because we had a black screen on RTV1 for quite a while, a few days at least. And going up to Mount View, I seem to have to go up there every week, but not to worry. Yes, it was a splitter was the problem. We've got splitters on the output, additional splitters that are needed for the BATC feed. I'm not sure why the splitters that are in the controllers don't feed the BATC feed. They have in the past, but Phil replaced all of that on the top with some new equipment, and A didn't talk to B. So we put splitters in, and originally, not for very long, were those splitters that Neil mentioned, and in fact it was the power connector that was the main issue with that one. So I went and bought some, what I thought was some more reasonably looking ones, and I'm not saying anything about these specifically, but they're in a metal box, very similar to what Neil was showing. Obviously a little different. There's no marking there on the inputs. There is a mark on the output. They say it's an 8K splitter, but this particular one wasn't working. Well, it did work originally when I put it there, but it didn't work for very long. So it wasn't it wasn't passing video, bottom line, and if they're splits directly off the receivers, so if that's not passing video, there's not a lot coming from the receivers. So that was that one, and it's good that Neil's got some options, and I know John, VK3 ATV, is bringing or sending over a couple that he knows from Radio Parts that are pretty reliable, and they're metal box ones as well, which will be good with you know, the coaxial power connector rather than the USB connector, the tiny one, which is, you know, not meant to be a power connector in any way really, but they seem to fall into that category. Just talking about power, I'm reconstituting my station. I'm being prompted by certain people in the east, namely BCU, to get back on 447 narrow band. So I'm working on that one, but I got the PA out ready to reinstall, and that's a 60 watt Mitsubishi module in there, a 70 centimetre one, 60 watt, and you can see the way I've mounted the heatsink on top of that with the fan. And I know Bob Reed, 3BVR, has a similar arrangement, and you know, I've seen, and I have used fairly large heat sinks at various times, but that's a very modest amount of heat sinking really, but it runs fine, and it goes, just, you can run it continuous, and it's quite okay. I think probably if the fan quit, things might get a bit interesting, but there it is. It's a very compact little arrangement, and that's a 60 watt module in there, so we can get maybe 20 watts of DVT or S out of that. So that's quite a neat little transmitter that's about to go back into service. And just to finish up my segment, and leading on from where Joe was last week, I also tend to buy, as many of you do, little tidbits from all the different sellers. So I've got a little power meter. I thought I'd show you this one. I think it might be similar to the one that Joe showed. Anyway, I'm using the same camera, so you'll have to excuse the dynamics of this situation, but we'll go and have a look at this little power meter. All right, we've got to get this out of the stand here, which we've done, and we move over to here, and I've got my RF generator set to 500 megs and an output level of minus 40 dBm, and we've got a little USB power meter here, and I think I can get it to show what's happening there if we can get the attitude quite right. Come on, I had it working earlier. Why don't you want to work now? Always during the net. It's a problem, isn't it? No, we don't want to do that. Just got to get the light in the right spot, and it will focus, but not during the net. Oh, that's crazy. I could actually get the reading to show there, but I'm not going to be able to do it by the looks of it for whatever reason. Just had to darken that off, and it would almost be there. Well, we won't persist with that, but at minus 40 dBm up there, I am reading minus 41.6 at 500 megs. So that's not too bad. So let's go up to 1 gigahertz. There we are, minus 40 dBm at 1 gigahertz, and that's reading minus 41.1, which is not too bad at all for that little power meter. We'll go up to 2 gigahertz, see what happens there. 2 gigahertz, minus 40 dBm, it's reading minus 39.8. It's even more accurate at 2 gigahertz. So let's go up even further, not level, frequency. We go up to 3 gigahertz, minus 40 dBm, and it's reading minus 38.7. We're almost at the limit of this one. We can go to maybe frequency 3.8 gigahertz. We can make that one, and it's now reading minus 37 for minus 40 in. So there it is, a little USB powered power meter with a dear little readout, which I could get to actually focus this afternoon. But of course, during the net, it won't happen. Anyway, that's all I've got for tonight. And Richard, if you like to start transmitting now, we'll try and have a steady cam, or a little bit of a steady cam as I move over. And there's the stand that the camera was on, and that's my switching rack over there. And I'm using a PC on my left here to do the switching, but we'll switch off. So VK3 VRS to take it now, VK3 BFG with not so steady cam.
Good evening, everybody. We've gotta love the old shaky cam. Yeah, it's always the way, Peter. Live TV, it always happens. Never goes to plan, that's for sure. So, always the way. Yeah, very interesting though. Meters, obviously a very important part for us, knowing what we're putting out and our emissions and whatnot. So very good. I've got a shaky cam too. There's my little shaky cam. So if I need to, I can switch over to that and do that. But the only thing I've done electronically in the last week or two is built a purpose power supply with 12 volt and 5 volt for all my HDMI switching and setup. So I suppose I'm going to put shaky cam on. Some audio. So there's the power supply that I just built. That's actually USB, which runs off 12 volts, so that comes off the 12 volt side of the system. Little thing that I bought off, I think it was Ali, or can't remember. Might have been eBay, but one or the other. It was quite cheap. It was only $20, and it came with clamps to go onto your battery. But of course, I just cut them off and put in the power supply. The only thing I have to do on that now, that switch there, it's an illuminating switch, but I haven't wired up the neutral on it, so it won't illuminate. And that's what it's turning on and off, all this stuff here. So that one's powered separately, because that's the one that I use for Discord, and that's the main switcher, which switches all these. I've got inputs and outputs everywhere. So, and even that's for the 905. So that's what I've done electronically. It's not really a fancy power supply at all. Cheated really. it's a dual rail mean well power supply, and I basically put it in a box and put some components on. Tested it and it tested all okay, so it's pretty simple. Tonight I've got a short video, one that I edited up. So Ian, this may or may not trigger. I'm not sure, because I've got another bit of a fascination which ties in with my love of aircraft, which Peter shares as well, and John. So it's just, I'm not a pilot, so one day I might get, there's still time. I know Peter didn't get his pilot's licence until he was in his 50s. I've got to wait a little bit longer. Got to wait for that Tats Lotto ticket to come in. But anyway, this is 4 minutes 48. So just be wary that you might have to edit this out, Ian. But anyway, let's enjoy it and see what happens.
I explain how turbojet engines like this work to people who are not familiar with jet engines but are familiar with cars. I always use 4-stroke as a good example. Intake, compression, combustion, and exhaust all in one continuous cycle. But since you have all these happening in a linear continuous fashion, that makes this a Brayton cycle. A Brayton cycle is simply compression, combustion, expansion equals volume.
ATV Channel 1.
Sorry, Clint, your ad mustn't have been loaded at the start. Sorry about that. It's pretty noisy on the band tonight. That's on 2 metres. So yeah, not much else has been going on. Had a bit of excitement over the weekend, but that's all good. It's a busy weekend. Anyway, I will get Clint to take over. I will go to the good old the screen and the test pattern, and hopefully we'll see you all and talk to you all on the airways. Over to you, Clint. I'll go over to the thing and it's all yours.
Well. What the hell was that, Richard? What the hell was that? All that noise. I was wondering if this thing sitting in a Perspex glass. I don't know whether it was glass or what it was. It looked like Perspex, and I was expecting that to melt. So, struth. I don't know, the sorts of things that people play with. Anyway, there it is. Good evening, everyone. Trust that all is well with folks out there in TV land, viewing the repeater and viewing off the internet. So, pleasant good evening. Well, I've got a couple of things to show. Nothing electronic though. Well, maybe this camera. This Sony camera, CCD, 3CD CCD camera, was my first journey into the digital realm. That was, I guess you could consider that a semi-professional camera, and it was pretty good for its time. Nice wide-angle lens on it, and sometimes I'll use it online, but it's not the same as the digital cameras that you get today, like cameras that have the HDMI output, for instance, and you can HD all the way through your system. So, but that was almost $4,000, I think it was $3,600 or something like that, which I only managed to get because of courtesy of a redundancy package from Fujitsu in those early days, 2000. I bought that in the year 2000, and it still works, but the built-in player in here, the mechanism has decided to fail, which is a bit sad. But the only issue with a camera like this that has mini DV cassettes in it is that if you use this primarily for playing and recording onto this, then a lot of work gets done by this mechanism, which means it wears out quicker. And so I was on the lookout for a separate standalone recorder player, so I didn't have to use this all the time. And that's what this unit is here. No, that's my test pattern, sorry. That's the Sony player. So as you can see, the cassette just fits in there as such, and away she plays. So that's got that off eBay, reasonably good price, but that does all the work for playing many cassettes that I've got. You can see there, I've got like that one there's a talk that Alan did, VK3XPD, some time ago. And what I'm doing is transferring all this to the hard drive, because these cassettes, I've got probably about 20 cassettes here, and they've been sitting in a drawer for yonks. My trip to China, the only time I've ever been overseas, courtesy of the job that I used to work for at PBN, Pacific Broadband Networks at Scoresby when they were there. My only trip to China. So 10 days in China. So I want to record, put that onto a hard drive so I can put it up on YouTube, or edit it first, then put it up on YouTube. But there's one cassette in here in this mix that I've been trying to find, and I found it. And using vMix, I've been able to copy from that player, that Sony player, to into vMix, and as a recorder. And what I found, in fact, I forgot about this, but in the first part of the tape is a recording I made. Some people might remember in Dandenong, on the corner of Gladstone Road and Princes Highway, there used to be a huge carpet factory, and it was called Westminster Carpets. Been there for yonks. It was a really a major employment place for a lot of people, as you can imagine, in that time. And I lived just across the road in a flat in Sutherland Road, West Andy, for 16 years. Anyway, the carpet factory was just across the road, and all of a sudden it decided to catch fire. So I went across there and with the camera, and decided to do some journalistic type videoing. This is we were playing ATV at the time, although with I had a friend of mine that was a limited licensee, BK3YCP, Phil, and we were televising this over 426-250, if I remember correctly, to anybody that could see it. But yeah, so I was very surprised to find this this footage. I haven't seen it for such a long time, but there's the old factory, and there's the crowd that gathered, and it was full on. This factory, this manufacturing plant for carpets, it also had a radiation source, a gamma radiation. I don't know if you could call it a reactor as such, but it was a source of generating gamma radiation, so that any wool that came in from overseas that might have some bacteria in it or some bombtigoms, they blast the wool with this gamma radiation to disinfect it. I believe that's how it worked. So yeah, it was a little bit of a radioactive plant. But anyway, something happened and it caught fire, and you know, the ruins of this factory stayed like this for yonks. I don't know whether it was because there was some sort of investigation going on, whether there was insurances companies that were trying to work out what was going on, but it certainly stayed it became a landmark in a ruined factory. It was an eyesore on Dandenong. It was a real eyesore for such a long time. Anyway, I thought I'd just show that little bit of footage, and it's a bit historic, really. Yeah, and of course, what eventually ended up going there, I think Bunnings bought the property eventually. It remained cleared for a while, and then Bunnings put up a big building there, and from there it there's another place. I've been out of Dandenong for quite some time, but I think there's something else built there now. I don't think it's a supermarket. It's something else. It's now built completely. The whole Bunnings building's disappeared. So that particular site's changed a few hands over these last 20 years or so. Anyway, the only other thing that follows this video in just a couple of minutes, which was another reason why I was after this bit of footage from this tape. You might remember that in the year 2007, there was a visitation in our skies of a comet. And this comet, called Comet McNaught, made an appearance for a few days in Melbourne skies. And I took this camera out, the Sony camera that I showed you just a moment ago, out to see if I could adjust the settings of the camera so that it would pick up on video this comet, which was basically in the southwestern part of our sky. From where I was in Dandenong, it was over towards Frankston, and it was probably about 10 to 15 degrees in the sky. It's about to come up. I'm just going to let this footage finish. The only reason why I'm going to let you to continue this for a little while, there's some interesting footage that I took. This thing. Look at this. They've turned the lights on in this extension arm on the fire truck, and what I saw was Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I thought, hey, that looks really cool. So so I filmed the smoke and the light illuminating the smoke, and I thought that was just a beautiful shot. So that was really eerie. Probably wouldn't have been so nice for the fireman that was up in that platform, but yeah, I thought that was really cool. So I'm glad I found this footage. It's quite good that it's managed to last for so long on this analog videotape, which is digital recording onto an analog tape. Anyway, any second we'll be going into our Comet McNaught thing. In fact, I'll just fast forward it a little bit. I'll go straight into this. There we are. And I'll just turn it down from there. Okay. So I know it looks a bit faint right there, but over the period of minutes that I was trying to film this comet, it kind of becomes more obvious as the 3CCD camera becomes a little bit more sensitive to the faint light. And I'll just go a little bit further forward. There, I've zoomed in on it. It's a bit tricky to try and find it in the viewfinder, but it'll settle down in a minute. There it is, Comet McNaught. Where's my thing here? So yeah, so Comet McNaught it was called, and it was also known as the Great Comet of 2007, given a designation of C/2006 P1, and it was discovered on August 7th, 2006 by a British Australian astronomer, Robert H. McNaught, and it was the brightest comet in 40 years and was easily visible by the naked eye, especially from observers in the southern hemisphere in January, February of 2007. And I'll just go back to vMix. I'll see if I can, because I don't stay zoomed in on it. There it is. Its brightness becomes a little bit better as I started to keep on it. There's another better view of it. Okay, so in its discovery, McNaught discovered the comet in a CCD image on the 7th of August during a course of routine observations for the Siding Springs survey in New South Wales. And it's an object from the Oort cloud, and its period is quite long. They reckon that we're likely to see it again in about 92,700 years, roughly, if I read that correctly. So in seeing it in the year 2007, like and filming it like I've got here, that's quite remarkable. I'm glad that I've still got this footage of it there. So I'm going to upload this to our the ASV's Facebook page. There's a dedicated section on comets and meteors for the Astronomical Society of Victoria, and I've been in the back of my mind for some time. I've been meaning to find this footage so I can upload it to the Facebook page. So there it is, Comet McNaught. Once only visitation for all of us. Some of you might remember it. In that time, January of 2007, we had some bushfires happening at the time, so there was a lot of fire smoke in the air, and fortunately, this is looking, like I say, from my backyard in Ray Street, West Dandenong, not too far from the Eastlink Freeway, which wasn't built at the time. We were looking over towards Frankston, to virtually due south, and that's about 10-15 degrees in the air. So yeah, quite good to have that on footage. Just fast forwarding it there, and that's getting quite low on the horizon now, almost out of sight. So I was fairly pleased the camera managed to record it. With today's modern cameras, I would have been able to have got a really good image on that, I'm sure. You can see the video. Well, I don't know what you can see over the repeater, but you can see a little bit of video noise on that because of the fact that I've got the camera working very sensitive. Okay, on that a little bit of interest there on an astronomical bent, we'll leave it at that, and we'll pop it back to you there, Neil. So thanks for doing it tonight, Neil, and I'll go and cook up steam some fish up for dinner. I've just discovered that I've got high blood pressure too. Last week, I had to have all last week off to try and get my system balanced, but I'm now joined at the ranks of you high blood pressure blokes out there. I don't know why, but it's pretty high. Measured something like 204 over 98 was when I first measured it, so I've got to get that down. Lose some weight, exercise, and get to bed early. Everybody's telling me to get to bed early. I'm an astronomer. I'm about to set up a 3-metre scope dome in my backyard where I can go out till 3 o'clock in the morning to observe the heavens. Do you think I'll be getting early nights? I don't think so. No, I better. This is something I've got to tackle pretty quickly. Across to you, Neil. Thanks, guys. See you all next time. This is VK3CSJ across to VK3BCU on RTV2.
Right, thanks for that, Clint. That was a very interesting old footage there, and I do still have one of those cameras. In fact, wasn't going to show this, but there's my old Hi8, and it still works and it still records. So, and that was $2,000, I think. Anyway, enough of that. Peter spoke about narrowband TV on 400 megs. We go on 447 is the frequency we've been using. That won't go down for me. Hopefully it will. Yes, so get that volume down. Yeah, so Peter mentioned about the narrowband that we're doing on 400 megs. I did some tests with Dennis 3YLH the other day, if I can bring up. Okay, so I was doing some tests with Dennis 3YLH about a week ago, and we did some tests on 447 megs. This one was 1 watt. Dennis was running 1 watt. Now he's in Belgrave, and that's DVB-S using a mini tuner and the software that goes with that. So I hope to do a live demonstration, hopefully when Peter gets his system running, actually relay Peter off 447 onto the repeater. It would be a nice live test. So that's the mini tuner. Now to be able to do this, you need a ports down Raspberry Pi. You can either use a Lime or a Pluto to transmit, and obviously a little amplifier, a little say 20 watt amplifier will do, and you'll be able to transmit across town. Now that's S. I've also got, we did some T, if I can remember which button to press. Let me see now, T, oh, okay. We did some tests on T. Now that's not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted either. We'll get there yet. Just bear with me while I press all my different switches. Okay, that's just a photograph of the Raspberry Pi. Now that's T. We need a little bit more power for T, but you can see it's the same system they use on the QO100. 447 megs, 333 kilohertz, 2K, FEC is 3/4, QPSK. So as I said, I'd like to do a live demonstration maybe next week. So that's the 447. So hopefully we'll introduce some of you guys on doing that very, very shortly. Okay, I've got one more item which I'll leave to the end of the net. So Joe, if you're ready to go. I think Joe's the only other one. Oh, we've got Joe and Mick. So you take it, Joe, first, VK3 TET, and then Joe, if you could put it across to Mick, and then Mick back to me. So if you're right to go, Joe, get ready to press that button when you see the no signal. Take it away, Joe.
However, I thought it would be a good idea just to have a quick unboxing because I did have to get another unit. Basically this purchase was on eBay. It was quite inexpensive. It was $50 delivered, including taxes and all that sort of stuff. And you know, it came within about a week. Slow postage, unfortunately, from Sydney. But here it is, you know, nice little box, warranty card. The usual stuff. User manual, if you call it a manual. It's just a multi-language piece of paper. Just gives you the sort of rundown of the features and the sort of how to connect the wires. I think we're all beyond that, but nevertheless, it's a bit of information there for reference if required. Quite compact packaging. You know, you've got your HDMI cable, power supply, a Wi-Fi dongle. Unfortunately, it's not built into this device, but you can actually plug in this dongle. A bit of a fiddly box, and the elusive remote control. This is quite an interesting control. It's actually a learning remote control, which is quite handy. You can actually program it. Have a look at it later. Fiddly box. Here we go. Let's have a look at it. That came undone quite easy. Oh, here we go. all wrapped in its sticky plastic. I must admit, at the moment I'm a bit of a sucker for it, so I'm not going to remove it, purely because all my equipment is in a not such nice location, so any protection is better than no protection for now. Right, the combo receiver obviously has got an LNB input. It's got a nice switch, you can switch on the power. Plastic box, unfortunately, front LED display. It's got a conditional access card there as well, for all of these people that are likely to use it as a satellite receiver, and you know, put your little smart card in there. So that's it, basic receiver, very lightweight. Yes, the remote, those of you that have the GT Media stuff, I think most of you prefer this, this what I call orange remote. It gives you some instructions on how to sort of configure it so you can actually program a particular code into it, or so you will remember it. I've never used it for that function, but it seems to be quite nifty. The USB Wi-Fi dongle, it's a 2.4 gig one, unfortunately. Well, that's what you'd expect. It's got a little hinge there so you can actually rotate it. HDMI, short little cable, and the power supply, a 1.5 amp Aussie plug. Yep. So that's it. That's the device. Now, what do? Let's have a look. I got this little additional, I suppose it's a preamp, it's a little bit of a signal booster. It does work. It's better than nothing, put it this way. You know, if you've got a marginal signal, it'll give you a little bit more gain. Quite simple to put it on. By the way, I got that from Bunnings. Interesting place to get things, but nevertheless I had it. Let's have a look. That's the right orientation. Yeah, I think it is. There we go. And yeah, it's just powered by USB, and that is the actual input into the receiver, and that goes to your antenna. Pretty simple device. Yeah, it's probably worth getting. So that's the receiver. Now let's have a look at the insides, the functional aspects of it. So there we go. When you boot it up, it gives you this little logo, and comes up with your sort of channels. Fortunately, I've already programmed it for RTV 1 and 2. I don't have an antenna that I can have here in my recording studio, so I can only go through the menus. I can't really tune it here, but it's pretty simple. Very sort of intuitive type of menu system. You know, you go to the install menu, select terrestrial, and under terrestrial you've got various modes, and obviously you're not going to do auto search. You go to manual, and you key in the frequency, which is 445/500. So once you've done that, set the bandwidth to 7 megs, and if it was connected to an antenna, you go and select the manual search and hit OK, and it'll actually find the signal and program those 2 channels into your system. We're going to exit from that and have a look at the channels. If it was connected to the antenna, you'll probably see the live receive, whatever it is. So here's RTV 1 and 2. You can have a look at the PIDs. The PIDs 257, 258 for RTV 1, and the PIDs for RTV 2 513 and 514. Interesting. So this is what RTV 1 and 2 are transmitting. That's the pits that it's transmitting, which are not the pits that we use to send to it on 70 SAMs. Anyway, 23 SAMs. Anyway, that's basically it. That's the exit, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Now, where did I buy it? Well, I bought it from GT Media official site on eBay. The price shows at $53.99. I sort of gave him an offer of $50. He accepted it, and the rest is here. So hope you enjoy this, and yeah, interesting device. Highly recommended. It works quite well. Very sensitive receiver, easy to configure, quite reliable. Haven't had any problems with it. For those of you that don't have a set-top box, $50 and you're up and running. Be able to watch RTV 1 and 2. Enjoy.
Good day everyone, and I'll just turn that one down. Alright, yeah, I'm coming through via ENSRT. We've still got amplifier things we've got to sort out. Need a bit more grunt. We're trying to get onto T instead of S, although we can't get on S half the time either, so yep, it's the way it goes. Alright, I don't have a heck of a lot for you for tonight. About the my news is the Radio Amateurs Old Timers Luncheon's coming up this Thursday, and I'm the guest speaker, and I will be telling them about this. So I'll be doing a PowerPoint presentation, and I'll be pinching a bit of video from ICOM and also a bit of video from Andrew VK3FS at the end of it. So I'm basically, my bit is the history of what I've done, and as long as it contains 23 centimetres and above, it's in. So won't bother with HF and any other stuff. So because we use 23 centimetres to get up to the television repeater, some of the television stuff qualifies for that. But it's mainly my journey onto microwaves, getting since the 905. I think it's very ironic that I think by about March, April, I didn't even own an IC 905. And now I'm giving a talk about it when there's lots of other guys probably watching, and no doubt in the audience, or will be in the audience of the old timers, that have done a lot more than I have for a lot many more years and at a lot higher frequencies, that I think they just can't be bothered getting up and talking about it. So I'll do their job for them, I suppose. So hopefully they will appreciate it. And hopefully they don't think it's gone on for too long. It's pretty hard to prune stuff, but there you go. And oh yeah, I'll have my whole microwave setup dragged in and set up. So the two lots, the 3.4 gigs with the SG Labs and the IC 905, that whole thing I've got on the frame that I take out to King Lake. Now I'm looking at the weather nervously for Thursday. It's rain sort of all across the day, but we've got a bits of plastic sheeting and stuff. And I did email the RSL saying, do you have any sort of trolleys I can borrow? And they promised me yes. We have a kitchen trolley. Now I'm not quite sure what a kitchen trolley looks like and what it carries, but I suppose if it's got wheels that will help. and the XYL is coming along too, and she'll be helping fetch and carry. So there you go. Alright, that's about all I've got, so might see some of you there, I don't know. I'm going to put it up to YouTube, what I've presented, so when the magazine comes out, the Old Timers News, and I'll write an article about it, there could be a link for people that have missed it that want to watch it on demand on YouTube, so there you go. Alright, that's about all I've got, so I think I'm handing it back over to Neil when Ian drops carrier. So that's about all we've got. Do I have a test card to go out on? Maybe this one. So catch us later.
Right, thanks for that, Nick. And I'll see you on Thursday. So looking forward to it. Now, I know a lot of you guys are already members of the BATC. I do recommend joining the BATC. What a lot of people might not know is you can stream your video onto the BATC website. So you don't even need to have a transmitter yet. You might be just interested in amateur TV and just you've got a studio ready and you can transmit through the BATC site. So what you do to do that, a lot of you might already know how to do this. I know Robert IE does, as he's streaming on the BATC site right now. So if I can just find the right PC. So what you do is, once you've joined, you go to your information area there, and I've got 2/3 of the way down. You've got VK3BCU and the key that you put in, and when you've got that key, you then, if I can get right to the, where are we? Got to find the right one now. Don't you hate it when it's live? Ah, there we go. So, I'm streaming, I can stream using the ATEM. You can either put that key into the ATEM, OBS or vMix, and if I can get this mouse to work, that's where the key goes in there, up in the top right hand corner there, and if on my ATEM, if I go on air, if you went to the BATC site right now, you wouldn't even have to be a member to do this. You go to the BATC site, go to streamer, go to members, and I'll be streaming. You'll be able to see my signal on the BATC stream. So this could be very useful for people that have issues with their transmitter. Maybe for some reason they can't get in, like Mick. It could transmit using OBS, the ATEM or vMix, and then be relayed onto the repeater for the net. So that's just something I thought people might like to know. I'm sure a lot of you already know that. It might be old news, but anyway, that's just thought I'd show that. Okay then, now I think we have Peter VK3 TLF up on RTV1, late check-in for the net. So if you're ready to go, Peter, I'm just watching on RTV1 now. So if you're ready to go, everyone get ready to switch across to RTV1 as Peter VK3 TLF is going to attempt a session. That there has been, I think, an issue with RTV1 at the moment. So I'll drop off. Everyone go across to RTV1.
Good evening, everybody. Yeah, it looks like I actually got a picture, so well done, Peter, on getting the Peter back online, so I get distracted by my own headset. Rightio, I just wanted to do a quick presentation. I've just wanted to talk about an amplifier that I got off AliExpress recently. I know I think the previous person was just talking about issues around amplifiers, so this might be relevant to you. So I'll just cut over and show you what I've bought. So this is a 50 watt 1.2 gig amplifier. I'm using it right now. This thing is now putting out, as we speak, about 42 watts. Naturally, with my transmission, I need a fair bit of power to get enough signal over the mountain. So fortunately tonight it actually seems to be working, so I'm pretty happy about that. I'm using a Mini-Kit's preamplifier to drive it, and that gives a relatively clean signal, and I'm only using 55 dBm out with the line with the ports down, so the signal ends up pretty clean, because if I've found with the ports down, if you stay under 60 dB, or I don't know if it's dB, but 60 units or whatever it is on the ports down, stay under 60 and the transmission on the line is pretty clear. So with that Mini-Kit's amplifier, it's the 1 watt amplifier, it actually works really well and gives me a pretty good output. So it's currently running with 55 gain on the Lime, and it's doing about 42 watts out into the dish. So just a short transmission, but I just wanted to share this one to other people, and hopefully it helps people in the search for some amplifiers that are fairly cost effective and pretty time efficient in getting. This arrived from this supplier pretty quickly. I think it was only a week and a half before it arrived from overseas, so it worked pretty well, and it actually seems to work, so I'm not complaining. One tip, on the little icons there that you select the different amplifiers, make sure you select the one that actually says 1.2 gig 50 watts, and the price up the top actually changes to $300. It's a real trap that when you first go onto this page for this company, it'll go to the 10 watt amplifier on the left hand side, and you'll accidentally buy the wrong one. Guess how I know this? Anyway, I'll let you be. Thank you, Neil, and thank you for Pete BFG for getting the repeater back online. Over to you, Neil.
Right, thanks for that, Peter, and I'm sure a lot of people would find that interesting, and I trust you've got a huge heatsink on that. I'm sure it'll get quite hot. So that's it for this evening. I look forward to seeing Mick's presentation on Thursday lunchtime I should say, and I'm sure you'll show us a video of it next week. So thanks for watching once again. I think we've got, how many on, 22 on Ian's YouTube feed. It was up to about 25, 26 earlier, and I'm sure there are people watching on Rob 3IE's BATC feed as well. So thanks for watching. We'll see you all next week. Cheers.